Hello everyone. So, I hope you have gone through the entire first unit of environment, which was something related to the basics of environment, just for a revision purpose. So, we had seen in the last lectures of the last unit the definition of environment, why environmental study is important, what is the exact segments of environment like atmosphere, hydrosphere, lithosphere, biosphere, etc. We had undergone into a systematic study of the segments. That means we have subdivided these segments. Later on, we had gone through some of the major issues, that is, of environmental issues, and these environmental issues were something related to the major causes for the changes in the environment. For example, we had seen what is greenhouse effect, and related to greenhouse effect, we had seen a major concept that is called as greenhouse gases. Also, we had gone through climate change, global warming, ozone layer reduction, depletion. One of the interesting part in this unit which we had studied was something related to the nuclear accidents, and we had gone through according to the syllabus for the three nuclear accidents. And I hope you have gone through in detail about these three nuclear accidents because they are mandatory. Also keep in mind that even though we are looking forward for these nuclear accidents, you have to always look forward beyond these three nuclear accidents. For example, in many of the questions for a final examination, or maybe for the syllabus oriented, or maybe for the that kind of general knowledge questions, they may ask you the questions related to the other nuclear accidents which were created by human purposefully. These include the nuclear accidents or major nuclear atomic accidents, rather I would say, which includes Hiroshima and Nagasaki incidents. Also, you can go forward for some of the other nuclear accidents, whichever you find for that case. And today I'm going to start with a next unit which is very important from the point of view of general studies, and this unit is called as energy resources. So keep in mind, even though it sounds to be very familiar and very easy part for you people, I would suggest not to take this part that much lightly. Reason is because many cliche questions are being organized on this unit, that is energy resources unit. So I would like to tell that energy resources is one of the major part which is having in our syllabus. Reason is because we are going to study something about the energy resources which are natural resources. And we are going to see something about the subparts or subunits of these natural resources. Then we are going to see something about renewable and non-renewable resources. Of course, we are going to form cyclic resources for it. We are going to see something about the effects, resources, energy forms, global energies, etc. etc. It is a syllabus, it is a unit which is far more beyond what we think to be. Let's start with energy resources. And the first question comes to us is something related to natural resources. So what do you mean by actual natural resources? We all know that the population is increasing day by day. I mean, it is mounting day by day, and this mounting population has triggered the growing population to use the resources which are present in natural form. Okay, for example, अगर हम urban area में ले या फिर हम rural area में ले तो कुछ difference था. For example, there was a difference of utilization of electricity, utilization of industrial product, utilization of resources. For example, maybe water resources, maybe forest resources, or in I would rather say in general term is energy resources. But what happened now is because of our development, because there's a drastic change, and now there's no such thing called as urban and rural facility. Even though we differentiate between urban area and rural area, but let me be clear that when it comes to utilization of energy, especially for example, like industry in illustration, for example, of use of electricity or water for that case, or forest resources for that case, there is no such differentiation called as urban or rural part. Okay, so जितना हम ज़्यादा डेवलप करें, जितना हम सिटी से फुल रहे उतनी हम अभी गाँव की ओर है, और जितना हम गाँव जाएंगे, of course we will try to develop the area. सो डेवलपमेंट हो रहा है, वहां पे इंडस्ट्री शुरू हो रही है, वहां पे इंडस्ट्री शुरू होने के लिए आपको क्या करना पड़ेगा, आपको रिसोर्सेज यूज करने पड़ेंगे। और ये रिसोर्सेज कौन से होंगे, एक ऐसे रिसोर्सेज होंगे जो either नेचुरल होंगे या फिर ह्यूमन क्रिएटेड रिसोर्सेज होंगे। और नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज का डेडिएशन एक सबसे बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट हो है इस डेवलपमेंट सोर्स में। ओके, द नेक्स्ट पार्ट इज दैट रिसोर्सेज जो हम यूज करते हैं से हम अल्टरनेट भी दे रहे हैं। दैट मीन्स अगर हम वाटर काफी ज्यादा यूज कर लेते हैं, so we should some kind of alternate to it also. You say if you utilize the water resource from a river, a particular river, a particular lake, you should have one of the methodology or one of the solution जिसमें आप फिर से वाटर को रीयूज करने का दे सकते हो। You should also have a method or solution so that water which comes from during the seasonal sessions should get mixed up into the earth and it should percolate to the, but ये नहीं हो पा रहा है। We are actually lagging behind. That is, we are giving some kind of alternate for the resources which we are utilizing. Okay. Similar goes with any kind of resource which we utilize. The third important problem, the major problems are that we are using it and we are overusing it. That means ज़्यादा utilization हो गया है, इतना ज़्यादा that we are now behind with these particular kind of natural resources. Let me tell you, some days back you might have read something about the products which are oil refineries related. Okay, for example, let's talk about something and diesel. If you go into depth of petrol and diesel or that kind of flammable products, you find that these were not that cheap few years back. On the other hand, they are right now very much costlier. So for just a single liter of petrol, you sometimes have to pay this, right? And it is too much costly. Why? The reason is very simple, because we are overutilizing it. हमने ये resource पूरी तरह से overutilize कर है. Similarly, you can find it related to the agricultural products also. Now, on this very long method that agricultural products or such products are naturally available should not make that costlier. But actually, one of the problem is that we people are very population. On the other hand, the agricultural material, natural resources, the fuel products, the water resources, because it is one product, so it needs its own time to develop. Because it needs its own time, it needs its own conservation method, conversion method. ये प्रोडक्ट काफी कम होते जा रहे हैं और इसका यूज काफी ज्यादा बढ़ रहा है. सो दैट इज समथिंग रिलेटेड टू द नेचुरल रिसोर्स. नाउ इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग इज व्हाट कैन वी कॉल as natural resource. So any product which is inclusion of air, water, forest, and maybe it's a marine form. In marine form, it can be a sweet water form, or it can be a fresh water form, or it can be salty water form. It can go with anything. But resources are something which is inclusion, which has life in it. Okay. Henceforth, after the word that is called as a biomass. Biomass in itself, it means that a complete gathering of the energy resource which you get back from the all kind of resources which are utilizing. That means अगर भी animal या फिर forest से आपको जो भी remaining मिल जाता है, जो left over होता है, वो मिलता है, that will be called as a biomass form, and that is the best source of natural resource. It also includes the fossil. So as I said in the first slide, that we are lagging behind some of the natural resources. And why? Because we are utilizing it and realizing it and overutilizing it. So एक सबसे बड़ा example that is petroleum product जो हमने discuss किया था. So you're using the coal. For example, the coal are used majorly in the production of electricity. Okay. Similarly, petroleum products. So you know well about the petroleum products and natural gases. Similarly, also that one of the products that is wildlife. So we can say that it is a kind of a product. It is because now human is using wildlife for development of money. Hence, we say that it is one of the natural kind of resource which is being made for the human. Okay, so that is one part. Similarly, you can also keep in mind that natural resources are somewhat resources which are containing oil products in it. Okay, so that petroleum products, etc., etc. Again, one more exception. For example, if I say something about a refined oil, okay, that is a cooking oil, refined oil, or a soaked cake, that is not a natural resource. Reason is because we are extracting it and then we are using it and then we are preparing it, and then for example you are creating a refined oil by extraction of some kind of seeds, okay, not kind of seeds or a groundnuts, etc., etc. So that is actually obtained from a natural resource, that is a flower seeds and from which is from natural plant. So you might be having a question that these all things natural. True, but we are not using it directly. Rather, we are trying to extract it out, and then we are not only extracting it but purifying and then make available for the human use in a form of either soap, maybe in a form of soap cake, or maybe in a form of refined oil. So it can be refined oil in various forms with various number of products including it. So we are using it pure. Hence, fourth, you have to keep in mind that refined oil and soap cake is not a natural resource. Okay, it is not a natural resource. Then one thing about natural resource is that they are renewable resources, so they can be easily made available again and again. For example, solar energy, wind energy, or geothermal energy for that is are somewhat kind of energies which can made easily available. Also, new generate form of energy which we mostly use right now is a hydroelectric energy. So that's one of the new developments which the human is being created. But do you think these renewable resources can be reused very easily? To an answer, we have no. Reason is for some of the energies, for example, the biomass energy is one of energy which you can reuse. I agree with it. But the problem with this kind of energy is that you have to wait for years to generate the energies, right? So now the technology has developed, of course, that it makes the energy easy within a short period of time. But still, when you have to say something about renewable energy, you should always keep in mind renewable energy are something which needs time, need their own time because it's something related to environment. Natural resources, of course, always a prosperity of nation. So when you have to develop a nation, you should always keep in mind that आपको natural resources को protect करना ही होगा. अगर natural resources को protect करोगे, तो natural resources को फिर से use में आ सकते हैं, reuse में आ सकते हैं. So it has its own place actually. Environment में हर एक resource का, जैसे human being का एक exist होता है, ऐसे ही तरीके से हर एक resource अपना एक existence होता है. Let's talk something in a brief. Okay, I'm telling about in a brief reason because we will discuss that in a very depth when we will move on the next for this unit. But in a brief, let's understand thing about renewable resource. जैसे मैंने आपको कहा था, it is available in the so it is of course if it is in natural form, I should have it in plenty of number. Okay, so I am not having a scarcity of this natural resources. But do you think are we going on using and using and use energy and creating again a mess for us? Yes, because we are generating the energy from the natural resources. We are using it again and again, agreed with it, but we are also polluting the resources, right? We are not keeping it clean, and as well, we are not giving it an alternative. For example, we use solar energy. Solar energy basically is one for such form energy, which is now in turn considered to be very good kind of complementary energy for that of electricity. Okay, so that is one good idea which human have created. Let's go with the wind energy. So wind energy is basically run on a turbine form. But think about it, if there are less pollution, what do we find in wind energy? Of course, it will be a hard kind of energy to generate. Also, one should also keep in mind that wind energy is one also, but wind energy on that contrary compared to solar energy is much clearer. Similarly, if you go with the biomass energy you need for this kind of energy, okay, because of course you should have plants, you should have some kind of trees which will fall down because biomass energy is completely dependent on the plant and the organism which is surviving on the earth planet. And if there are there is less of plantation, when you think of getting a biomass energy. The tidal energy is something related to tides. So it is one of kind of energy which we use. But there is a problem because the tidal energy generates the energy which is obtained at a higher rate. That means we can say that wind energy की तरह ही tidal energy भी expensive होता है. A new kind of energy which the human has evolved from his or her brain is called the high energy. जैसे हम देखते हैं डैम में water reserve करना, then it's going to generate an electricity. That's talking about the hydroelectricity. So that's something about renewable resources. That's the idea. But what do you mean by non-renewable resources? First, you know something about renewable resources. It first means that it is a natural resource. Non-renewable resource is also a natural resource. So these 2 points complementary to each other, so it becomes easy for you to remember. So resources are also natural. Non-renewable resources is also a natural resource only. Then what is the difference between renewable resource and non-renewable resource? Basically, हमने देखा कि resource is a natural resource which can be used directly. Okay, solar energy, tidal energy, hydro energy, geology, etc., etc. On the contrary, non-renewable resources are pre-made. Okay, that means you have to use these energies not directly. You have to convert the energy, and you by converting the energy from a raw form to a form which can be utilized by a human is called as a non-renewable form. So अगर आप बहुत easy तरीके से आप याद रख सकते हो, cylinders जो हम gas में होते हैं, one kind of non-renewable energy. Basically, it is kind of biomass and gas. But can have ever imagined that you could directly use this, right? So, for example, I'm going to say I'm going to oil or oil. So that is not a natural or non-renewable. It's not a non-renewable resource. Reason is because आप कोई पक को खा तो आप ऑयल यूज करोगे, आप मे बी आप यूज कर ग्राउंड तो ये ग्राउंड ऑयल करो और सब्जी बनाओ, ना कि आप ग्राउंड डालोगे और उसमें सो बेसिकली इनटू दैट समथिंग a raw material and from that action you are generating energy which will be easily available or available for the human. So we can find over. For example, gas, there's a coal, and then there's a oil, and then there's a nuclear energy. So you can find that these all energy are actually regenerated energy. It means हम regenerate कर सकते हैं, grow कर सकते हैं, reutilize कर सकते हैं, reconsume कर सकते हैं जब हम उसे raw material से extract करेंगे, आप बनाएंगे energy form में जो even की use में आ सके. Okay. This energy is not environment friendly energy at all. For example, we can take example of oil. When there is transportation, when transportation is taking place will be taking place either through two or three methods actually for the oil. One method is by airways, the second would be by the railway, and the third and the major route is something like the seaway. Basically, oil is traveled through sea, and when it is leaked out in the sea, it's all over on the sea surface, covering up the sea surface, due to which this is getting polluted and the organisms living in the waves are dead. This is not environment friendly. Okay, so we can see that these products are not environment friendly. On the other hand, renewable resources are environment friendly. आप इतना भी सोलर एनर्जी यूज कर लो, सोलर एनर्जी को इजीली जनरेट कर सकते हो. Secondly, आप सोलर एनर्जी को जनरेट करोगे और अगर आपके पास हो चुकी है सोलर एनर्जी तो आप ठीक है, you can just store it in a form of a gel. So right now we have such utilization energy and conversion energy also. So this is basic. They cannot be generated easily. जैसे मैं कहा था, renewable resources are generated very easily. Okay? For example, आपने अच्छी तरह किया तो you have a biomass resource. आपके पास अच्छा water आता है, resource आता है. For example, now we are going through, we are having a good kind of rainfall. So we are having a good kind of water resource, which is a natural renewable resource. But think about that these resources, for example, easily extract oil. जैसे मैंने अभी कहा था कि हाँ चलो oil खत्म हो गया, oil नहीं है, use करें. It is not possible. Similarly, I can't go with easy gas material. For example, cylinder खत्म हो, fine, okay, no problem. मैं घर में ही cylinder बना लूँ and I can reutilize it. Acceptable. That is not generating very easily. That means it takes a time which is very long. Okay? So non-renewable resource को काफी ज़्यादा टाइम है तैयार होने के लिए compared to that of renewable resource. Non-renewable resources existence अगर आपको देखना हो तो you can find it majorly in fuel forms. Okay, तो याद रखना, you can think about it. This resource is nothing else but a fuel form. For example, coal, oil, gas, fossil fuels, etc. So एक time इसको बनने काफी टाइम लगता है, बनता है रिसोर्स नेचुरल प्रोडक्ट से ही, इट्स ओन टाइम टू गेट कंप्लीट टू प्रोड्यूस एक्सेट्रा. ओके, so today we are talking about of natural resource. We are talking about what do you mean by natural resource, what is resource, what is non-renewable resource. In the future, we will look forward for the parts of natural resources or some others which is important from our point of view of the disease. It will be very hard.